In the mid-1700s, 13 colonies clung to the eastern edge of North America. They were part of the vast British Empire, but life was different across the Atlantic. The colonists valued their freedoms and were used to a degree of self-government. However, the relationship between Britain and its American colonies began to fray. Following a costly war with France, the British Parliament sought to increase revenue by taxing the colonies. The Stamp Act of 1765, requiring stamps on printed materials, ignited protests. Colonists resented being taxed without representation in Parliament. While the Stamp Act was repealed, tensions remained high. In 1773, the Tea Act, designed to benefit the struggling East India Company, further inflamed the colonists. They saw it as another example of taxation without representation. The Boston Tea Party was a dramatic act of defiance. Colonists disguised as Native Americans boarded British ships and dumped chests of tea into Boston Harbor. This act of rebellion had profound consequences. The British government responded with harsh measures, closing the port of Boston and restricting colonial self-government. The other colonies rallied to Massachusetts' aid, and the stage was set for a revolution. In 1774, the First Continental Congress convened in Philadelphia. Representatives from 12 colonies met to discuss their grievances against Britain. They sought reconciliation, sending a petition to King George III outlining their concerns. However, they also agreed to boycott British goods and prepare for the possibility of war. The situation escalated rapidly. In April 1775, British troops marched to Lexington and conquered Massachusetts to seize colonial military supplies. The colonists, alerted by writers like Paul Revere, were ready. The first shots of the American Revolution were fired in Lexington, igniting a conflict that would last for 8 long years. The Second Continental Congress met in May 1775, with the battles of Lexington and Concord fresh in their minds. They formed the Continental Army, appointing George Washington of Virginia as its commander-in-chief. Washington, a respected military leader, faced the daunting task of uniting a fledgling army and facing the might of the British Empire. The colonists were divided. Some remained loyal to the crown, while others embraced the cause of independence. The war would be a test not only of military strength, but also of the colonists' resolve to forge a new nation. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress took a momentous step. They adopted the Declaration of Independence, penned primarily by Thomas Jefferson. This document declared that the 13 colonies were now free and independent states no longer subject to British rule. The Declaration of Independence was a powerful statement of principles. It proclaimed that all men are created equal, endowed with certain unalienable rights including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words resonated far beyond the shores of America, inspiring people around the world seeking freedom and self-determination. The path to independence was long and arduous. The Continental Army, poorly equipped and often outnumbered, faced setbacks and defeats. The winter of 1776–77 was particularly harsh, with Washington's troops suffering from lack of supplies and freezing temperatures at Valley Forge. Yet the colonists persevered. They were aided by foreign powers, particularly France, who saw an opportunity to weaken their British rivals. The Continental Army, under Washington's leadership, grew in strength and determination. The tide of the war turned in 1781 at the Battle of Yorktown, Virginia. American and French forces trapped the British Army under General Cornwallis. After a 3-week siege, Cornwallis surrendered, dealing a decisive blow to the British war effort. Peace negotiations began in Paris, culminating in the Treaty of Paris in 1783. In this treaty, Great Britain formally recognized the independence of the United States. The American Revolution, a costly and bloody conflict, had triumphed.